Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, well, we're tackling maybe the most fundamental part of this whole radical blueprint we've been exploring.
Indeed. We're looking at the architecture for a complete societal redesign.
Yeah, specifically for what the source calls the post-petroleum era. And it's not just pie-in-the-sky stuff, is it? It's meant to be a workable plan.
That's the key. Shifting from, this chaotic extraction model to something focused on, sustainable human flourishing, measurable flourishing.
And we started this whole series by looking at why this is even necessary, the pressures pushing for such a drastic change.
Right. The source identifies those four converging crises. You've got the climate emergency accelerating.
Can't ignore that one.
Then there's the inherent instability, the structural failure, really, of global capitalism.
Which we see playing out constantly.
Plus, the simple fact of oil exhaustion, cheap energy won't last forever. And finally, all the geopolitical tension, which is often a symptom of that scarcity mindset.
The stakes really couldn't be higher. Existential, as you said.
Yeah.
But what makes this plan different, or at least aims to be different, is that it avoids utopian dreaming.
Exactly. The rule is simple, elegant, and feasible, ex equivalent. Using technology and logic we already have.
No unobtainium required.
Precisely. And the absolute bedrock, the non-negotiable part underpinning everything.
Direct participatory democracy.
Complete empowerment of everyone. The whole system is designed to eliminate the need for a ruling class. Society steers itself through transparent voting, plebiscites.
Okay, that sets the scene nicely. So, for today's deep dive, we need to do two things. First, a quick recap of the foundations from chapters 1 to 4.
The why and the basic how of the architecture.
And then, we dive straight into the core, the engine of it all.
Yeah.
Chapter 5, the economy of life. Right, so before building the new, we had to understand the old system's fatal flaw. Chapter 1, they call it the original sin. What was the diagnosis there?
It's very specific. The sin was inventing money, but specifically money that makes more money. Interest.
Ah, the compounding effect.
Yes, and its really malignant purpose was converting the one truly finite thing we have, our time of life, into just an abstract number, something you can exploit.
And that exploitation isn't random, it's built in. The power pyramid.
That's the term the source uses. And it's not some conspiracy theory, it's the financial architecture itself. Central banks right at the top.
Controlling interest rates.
Exactly, their main lever. And they use it to systematically shift wealth from people doing the actual work, the productive masses, to, the speculative few.
Creating this need for constant growth, constant debt.
Which inevitably leads to huge wealth concentration on one side and unemployment used as a control mechanism on the other.
And the end game of that system. Financial cannibalism. That sounds pretty grim.
It's the late stage disease, The finance sector just trading money against money, abstracts against abstracts, not creating anything real.
No actual wealth generation, which has to come from human time and effort, right?
Right, by definition. So this cycle just guarantees crises, instability, and wealth keeps rushing to the very top. It becomes a zero-sum game. Extraction.
Okay, so that's the problem identified. Chapter 2 then offers the antidote. The new north, a new direction.
Instead of profit lucro, the goal becomes well-being. Femistar. That's the central purpose for everything the community does.
And that requires a whole new social contract, doesn't it?
Fundamentally new. Based on reciprocity and responsibility, the idea of a free lunch just doesn't exist structurally.
Because everything costs someone's time.
Exactly. If you get healthcare, good housing, education, the community invested its time in you. So you're required to contribute your share of time back.
And the community has to deliver excellence in return. It's a loop.
A transparent, cyclical exchange, held up by those three pillars we talked about: dignity, purpose, regenerative harmony with nature, and that balance of essential equality and individual liberty.
That sets the values. Then chapter 3 gets practical. The hardware of democracy. This is about scale, right? Making things smaller.
Strategic scaling down, yes. Anchored by the Dunbar number.
That cognitive limit, we can only really maintain about 150 meaningful relationships.
So the smallest unit, the condominio, is built around 150 adults. This brings back informed trust. You actually know the people you might vote for or rely on.
Not some distant politician you've never met.
Right. These units then replicate to form a functional city module, the cellula, around 25,000 people, still human scale.
And this structure tackles urban sprawl head-on. It leads to the 15-minute city concept.
Directly. Everything you need, work, health, school, food, is a short walk or bike ride away. The car becomes largely unnecessary.
You abolish the tyranny of the car and all the wasted time that goes with it.
But the really fascinating part is the why. The mathematical reason for this modular design. It comes from Geoffrey West's work on cities.
Oh yeah, the power laws. Explain that again.
West found that in big cities, good things like innovation and wealth grow superlinearly about 15% faster than the population. A power law of 1.15.
Okay, faster growth. Sounds good.
But bad things, crime, disease, pollution, also grow at that same superlinear rate. They accelerate faster than the city grows.
Ah, so the problems outrun the benefits as the city gets bigger.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the infrastructure, roads, pipes, grows sublinearly. It gets more efficient per person, but it can't keep up with the accelerating social costs. It's a recipe for a collapse.
So the cellular model breaks this cycle.
By choosing replication over endless expansion, you build a new cellula instead of just making the old one bigger and bigger. You keep the benefits of the tight-knit community without the runaway problems of massive scale.
And that efficiency, cutting out the infrastructure mess, the massive administration, that's how you get to the 4-hour day.
That's the mathematical payoff. It's not magic, it's just radical efficiency.
Okay, then Chapter 4 laid out the rules of the game, the governance. Each cellula is basically its own mini-state.
A cellula estado, autonomous, self-sufficient, managing its own resources, maybe even using a local currency like that Maricá example in Brazil, which showed it can work.
And funding big projects, no banks, no debt.
Totally transparent. A proposal goes out, say, building a new community kitchen. It gets vetted ethically. Then AI's costed out. Not in money, but in hours of life.
Hours of life. So everyone knows the exact time commitment.
Precisely. You vote yes, knowing, okay, this means 10 minutes deducted from my daily productive time for the next 2 months. The community borrows time from itself. Zero financial risk, zero interest.
Eliminates that whole debt trap.
Yeah.
And Chapter 4 also touched on security, predictive, and regenerative justice.
Yeah, focusing on early intervention. AIs might detect rising stress levels or conflict patterns.
But instead of sending police,
It alerts friends, family, maybe community mediators first, people who can actually offer support and de-escalate. It treats conflict as a community health issue, not just a policing one.
okay, that's a solid review.
Yeah.
We have the why, the values, the structure, the rules.
Yeah.
Now, the economic engine. Chapter 5.
Right, so if money as we know it was the poison, Chapter 5 is the antidote, sealing the Pandora's box, as the source puts it.
And the core disease is trying to cure.
The systemic ability for individuals to accumulate wealth that was actually produced by other people's time. Modern rentism, essentially. Exploitation baked into the system.
Because you can only get obscenely wealthy by capturing the value created by thousands or millions of others. Your own effort has natural limits.
Exactly. So before introducing the new time-based system, the plan insists on closing the loopholes of the old one, surgically. These are the 3 locks of inequality.
Okay, let's take them one by one. First, and this one feels huge, the end of inheritances. Wow, that sounds difficult to implement culturally.
Oh, absolutely. It would face enormous resistance. But the source reframes the argument entirely.
How so?
In our current world, inheritance makes sense as protection. You want to shield your kids from potential hardships, scarcity, system failure.
Right, give them a safety net.
But in this proposed society, the community guarantees that safety net from birth, excellent housing, healthcare, education, a sense of purpose. So inheritance stops being about protection.
And becomes purely about perpetuating inequality. Giving some people a massive head start for no reason other than birth.
Precisely. It undermines the whole principle of a fair start and essential equality. So, the argument shifts. If the community provides the foundation, then returning accumulated wealth or time back to the community upon death becomes the final act of reciprocity.
Reciprocity. Paying back the system that enabled that accumulation in the first place.
Yep.
Okay, I see the logic, even if it's a tough pill to swallow for many. What's the second lock?
The end of personal loans. This one seems laser-focused on corruption.
How does that work?
It targets the main way illicit wealth gets hidden or explained away in the old system. Think about it. Someone suddenly has a fortune they can't account for. What's the excuse?
Oh, it was a loan from a wealthy friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Standard, often legally bulletproof. By removing the structural need for personal loans because basic security is guaranteed and big projects are funded publicly and making them legally impossible, you just eliminate that primary hiding place for corruption.
Okay, cutting off the escape route. And the third lock.
The end of capital gains and profits mais valias. We need a clear definition of profit here.
How does the source define it?
Very simply, profit is time of life extracted from another person that isn't returned through reciprocal necessary service or contribution.
So if you're accumulating wealth or time credits faster than you're personally contributing your own productive time, that difference is the extracted time of others.
That's the core idea. Any accumulated time credit must be demonstrably linked to your own effective contribution. No passive income derived purely from owning capital or employing others in the old sense.
Right. Okay, those locks are designed to prevent the old inequalities from creeping back in. So now, with those sealed, what's the actual currency?
Time itself, pure and simple. The source points out, hey, we already calculate minimum wage by the hour. The dollar amount is just an arbitrary layer on top.
So strip away that layer.
Exactly. The fundamental currency is the hour of work. You work 1 hour on a community-approved task, you get credited with 1 hour. Direct, universal, instantly understandable. No inflation, no speculation.
But wait, how do you stop cheating? Even in a small cellula, couldn't people just claim they worked hours they didn't? How is it incorruptible?
Technology plays a key role here. Validation uses blockchain and decentralized AI systems.
Ah, okay. How does that work practically?
Every hour claimed has to be linked to a specific, approved project or task, maintaining the vertical farms, working at the health clinic, waste recycling, whatever. The AI systems constantly audit this.
So obvious fraud is easy to spot, like claiming 25 hours in a day.
For real. But it's smarter than that. Let's say a specific task is budgeted for, 100 community hours total. If one person starts claiming 500 hours for their small part in it, the system flags it instantly. The input is totally out of proportion to the expected output.
So the system itself makes corruption incredibly difficult and transparent. It's hostile to fraud by its very design.
That's the intention. Mathematical self-evidence.
Okay, now for the big one. The question everyone asks when you talk about equal time value. Surely a neurosurgeon's hour isn't worth the same as a sanitation specialist's hour. That hits right at our current value system.
It does, and that question reveals the bias of the old financial hierarchy. The answer here is crucial. It's not about saying one person's life is more valuable than another's. All life, all time, is fundamentally equal.
So what's the difference then? Why the specialized training?
The difference isn't value, it's complexity of skill. That neurosurgeon needed maybe decades of training, which represents a massive investment of the community's collective time. The reward system acknowledges this, but without creating financial inequality.
How? Instead of money, we get the 3 social currencies. Let's break those down. First, the currency of vocation, moeda da vocação.
This is for those highly specialized, complex roles, the surgeon, the engineer, the research scientist. The reward isn't more money or time credits.
What is it then?
The reward is the opportunity to do that complex, specialized work, to fulfill that vocation. The community invested heavily in your training, and your payoff is the unique ability and resources to practice that skill for the benefit of everyone. It's about fulfillment, purpose, mastery, not financial gain.
Okay, so the reward is intrinsic to the work itself, enabled by the community. What about essential but maybe less glamorous jobs? The currency of duty, moeda de dever.
Right. Sanitation, hazardous waste cleanup, maybe emergency response, jobs that absolutely have to be done for society to function but might not be everyone's first choice.
What's the compensation there?
Civic honor, honora civica. This isn't just a pat on the back. It translates into real social capital, tangible benefits, public recognition, maybe priority access to certain community resources, guaranteed extra leisure time, perhaps a stronger voice in relevant planning decisions.
So society explicitly acknowledges the sacrifice and compensates with status and real perks, just not more money.
Exactly, and sometimes these roles can be part of restorative justice too, a way for someone to tangibly repay a debt to the community.
Interesting. And the third one, the currency of reputation, moeda da reputação, for creativity.
Yes, for excellence in fields like art, cooking, craftsmanship, design. Think of an amazing chef. They don't get paid more time credits per hour.
So how are they rewarded?
Their reward is their reputation, validated by the community itself. People recognize their skill. There's high demand for their creations, their performances, their insights. Transparent feedback loops show their standing.
But it comes with a responsibility.
A crucial one. Success here brings the non-negotiable duty to teach, to mentor, to share that skill. You turn your individual brilliance into a growing community asset. It prevents hoarding knowledge.
This whole model really hinges on interdependence, doesn't it? That surgeon versus sanitation worker comparison falls apart when you think about it functionally.
Completely. Ask yourself, who's more essential right now? If all surgeons vanished, it'd be a crisis for trauma cases, yes. But if sanitation stopped for a week?
Total system collapse.
Yeah.
Disease, chaos. Hospitals couldn't function.
Exactly. They're both vital organs in the societal body. Realizing their mutual necessity just shatters that old arbitrary caste system based on perceived prestige or complexity rather than actual function.
Okay, this is starting to form a coherent picture. Let's connect it back to that really liberating number you mentioned earlier, the 4-hour day. This isn't just a nice idea. You're saying it's the direct mathematical result of all this restructuring.
It's the concrete dividend, the payoff for eliminating all that systemic waste, the financial sector's churn, the bureaucracy, advertising, military spending driven by global competition, and, crucially, the insane amount of time wasted commuting in poorly designed cities.
So where do those 4 hours actually go? Give us the breakdown.
Okay, it divides neatly into 3 parts. First, 2 hours. Essential productive work. Productivo essential.
Just 2 hours, what does that cover?
Everything fundamental for a high standard of living. Quality housing, abundant fresh food, universal health care, lifelong education, clean energy, local transport. The math, according to the source, shows that with full adult participation and the removal of profit motive and overhead, 2 focused hours is enough.
2 hours for a dignified, comfortable existence.
Yeah.
That level of efficiency is, well, it's hard to even imagine from where we stand now. What about security, resilience, the future?
6 hour, 1 hour. Resilience in retirement. Resiliencia e apacentadoria. Think of this as collective insurance against fear.
How so?
This hour funds the strategic reserves, huge agricultural buffers, decentralized energy storage, pandemic-level medical supplies. It ensures the community can withstand shocks, climate events, disruptions, and crucially, it also guarantees dignified support for everyone who can't work: the sick, disabled, elderly.
So it directly tackles existential scarcity and anxiety. We collectively invest time each day to ensure no one falls through the cracks and the whole system is robust.
Precisely. Which leaves us with the final hour.
The best hour.
Maybe 1 hour. Life. Vida. This is discretionary community and personal time investment.
What does that fund?
Local culture, arts groups, philosophy clubs, sports, libraries, parks, personal learning projects, hobbies. It also covers things like extended parental leave or extra vacation time collectively agreed upon. It's the time dedicated to the flourishing of the community's soul and individual growth.
So 2 + 1 + 1 equals the 4-hour commitment. Leaving. 20 hours a day. Minus sleep. That's a huge amount of free time. This leads to the occupation of leisure, the era of flourishing.
Florecimiento. When survival is guaranteed and time is abundant, what do people do? The source suggests, like in ancient Greece perhaps, focus shifts naturally from mere necessity to meaning, culture, philosophy, arts.
Driven by genuine curiosity, not profit.
Exactly. And innovation looks completely different too. Forget patents.
No patents. How does anything get invented?
Through curiosity, collaboration, addressing real needs, and crucially, all discovery, scientific, medical, technological, is mandated open source instantly.
Wow. So a breakthrough in one cellula.
Is immediately available to every cellula, everywhere, globally.
Yeah.
Progress accelerates dramatically because you remove the barriers of commercial secrecy and competition.
The sheer amount of available brain power and time focused on problems. It's staggering. You mentioned the plebiscite global. How does that work?
It's a vision for harnessing that collective power. Imagine, say, 7.5 billion productive people globally. If each person dedicated just 1 second of their daily productive time via a global vote.
1 second. That's nothing individual.
But collectively, it's over 2 million focused hours every single day. Humanity could vote. This month, those 2 million daily hours go towards curing cancer, or next month, it's focused on carbon capture technology or space exploration.
Directing a slice of global productive capacity democratically towards humanity's biggest challenges, that's mind-blowing.
It leverages the power of collective time at an unprecedented scale.
And finally, what happens to retirement? Apacentadoria.
Yeah.
It's not just stopping work.
No, the model learns from places like the blue zones where people live long, healthy lives. Stopping meaningful activity often leads to decline.
So purpose is key.
Right. Retirement becomes a gradual transition. Older citizens move from more physically demanding roles into vital mentorship positions, strategic planning councils, knowledge transmission, guiding the community, continued engagement, continued dignity, intergenerational connection. Well, wrapping up Chapter 5, the big takeaway is this. By shifting the economy's base to time, You structurally eliminate the possibility of exploiting other people's time for personal gain.
You remove the engine of inequality and the fear that comes from scarcity.
Exactly. Wealth transforms from a number you hoard to time you actually live. The system becomes inherently resilient because everyone's basic needs are mathematically guaranteed, freeing up enormous human potential.
It's presented as the proof that true abundance measured in free time, security, and opportunity is actually possible within ecological limits. The engine for that society without owners.
And that liberation, that 4-hour day, isn't just a perk. It's the necessary foundation for shifting away from that old scarcity mindset that drives so much conflict and destruction.
It really is a fundamental redesign. As we look ahead to our next deep dive, which will be on education and how you actually instill the values needed for this kind of society to thrive, it leaves us with a big question. If the goal is collective flourishing, based on time and reciprocity and fears structurally removed, what single value do you think is the most critical to teach the next generation to make sure this 4-hour, time-based world actually works long-term? What stops it sliding back towards selfishness?
That's a deep one to ponder. What's the cornerstone virtue?
Something for you, the listener, to think about. Until the next deep dive.